Well, hey sweet people, and welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome especially. I'm Sally, and I am so glad you've stopped by for this week of pro-metabolic breakfasts. Breakfasts are so essential for a healthy metabolism because they set the tone for blood sugar regulation throughout the day as a whole. So I make sure each morning that not only am I getting a nutrient-dense breakfast, but that I am eating enough and that I am getting enough protein especially. One of my go-to breakfasts, this first one that I am making, is a yogurt bowl, and I am making a mess of it as I attempt to make this compote, but I am just tossing some frozen berries into a saucepan. I love to have yogurt with fresh berries, but it's end of summer, fresh berries are out of season, so I keep frozen berries on hand, and they are great and more affordable usually. And I'm just adding in a little bit of sea salt, and I'm also adding in some maple syrup, and we're just going to cook it down pretty thoroughly, but it only takes about 5 minutes. You can break up the strawberries a little bit if they're in there, and then we will shortly here pour that over our yogurt. For yogurt, I'm using the Costco Kirkland Signature Greek yogurt. It's pretty high quality. It is fat-free, and fat-free yogurt and cottage cheese can be great resources to help you get enough protein in, but it's important to realize that they do not contain the same micronutrient density that fat containing dairy is going to have, because they don't have those fat soluble vitamins in them, or at least those fat soluble vitamins can't really be utilized by your body because they're not in fat. And again, another reason it's important to make sure we have all 3 macronutrients at each meal so everything is absorbable. But I put my berries on top, and then I am going to have some fat with this meal. I'm just putting some cream into my coffee, which I'll eat or drink rather right after I finish up my breakfast. So all 3 macronutrients. Generally speaking though, if you are eating whole foods and you're focusing on protein and carbs, you will get enough fat in through natural food sources. So just something to be mindful of on, days like today if you're not having any fat in like a dairy product or something. Anyways, okay, day 2, we are having one of my all-time favorite foods, honestly. I guess my southern is coming out, but it is a grit bowl. If you don't know what a grit is, it's the same thing as polenta, just a different name for a different region, but it is corn that is coarsely ground, and you cook it up as like a hot cereal, and I prefer it savory. So I always like to top it with at least cheese and eggs, but ideally cheese and eggs and some sort of protein like bacon or turkey bacon. Turkey bacon is actually my go-to. I like the Columbus brand from Costco. You'll see it here shortly, but I like the Columbus brand from Costco because it doesn't taste like it's trying to be bacon. It just tastes like its own thing, and I have no issue with regular bacon, but this is higher in protein, and so I find is just, more supportive of my macros. But today I am using some Parmesan cheese. Whatever you have on hand is great. Like I said, Parmesan, eggs, and turkey bacon. Some other great toppings are like crispy kale, or you could use mushrooms that have been cooked till they're nice and like crispy and chewy. You can do tomatoes, avocado, anything like that. And I forgot to say this, but a note on grits or corn as a whole. Corn isn't digestible really in its regular good old-fashioned form. Just something about it makes it very difficult to get the nutrients out of it, and also it can actually inhibit the absorption of nutrients from other foods. However, if the corn is treated with lime water or an alkaline solution, it's called being nixtamalized, so I guess it would be nixtamalization. If it's treated in this way, it makes it much more digestible, and this is what the ancient Mayans used to do. So these are hominy grits, true hominy grits, which have been treated in that alkaline solution. They cooked for about 20 minutes, and now I'm adding my toppings on top. This is one of those meals that just feels so warming and nourishing and luxurious, but especially when you're using grits that are properly prepared like these, like it feels luxurious, but it's so nourishing for your body, and that's my favorite type of meal. Okay, next day, and we are taking a yogurt bowl to the next level. This is a recipe that you will find in my Pro-Metabolic Starter Guide, which is going to contain like over 20 recipes and a sample week-long meal plan for you. But it is a yogurt panna cotta, specifically a honey vanilla yogurt panna cotta. And by, adding gelatin and other ingredients, but gelatin is kind of key for getting the consistency we're looking for, we turn yogurt into like more of a type of pudding. It just feels, again, luxurious. That's the word I keep coming back to. But this was inspired by a recipe my mom used to make at New Year's. It was a vanilla, it had a pomegranate layer panna cotta, and I was thinking about this recipe and asking, how can we make it more macro friendly? How can we use yogurt in a way that makes it seem fresh and exciting and make it into something we can have for breakfast? And yeah, this is the recipe I came up with. I'm really excited to share it with y'all. So definitely look for it in the starter guide. These set up in the fridge overnight, and then just top it with whatever fresh fruit you like. So today I did peaches and I did some coconut. And anyways, I just think super fun meal, and it turns out to be very beautiful when it all comes together. Okay, so next day, and this is the boring old meal that I get. I know people are going to be like, this isn't creative, but it's one of my favorites. It is some version of eggs with fruit and, again, like your breakfast protein, but I'm making an omelet today. Now, we are in a house that is, pre-furnished. It's not all of our stuff, so this isn't like the pan I would usually use. I'm actually at the point where I can do this in my cast iron, and I feel so successful at the finish on my cast iron. But you just want to make sure you have a well-greased pan, or like a non-toxic, non-stick pan is going to be great for this. You're going to beat up your eggs, and then you want to just make sure they really coat the bottom of the pan. You kind of scramble them. You want to make sure it's over a pretty low heat. You scramble them, and then you paste it. What's the word? Like you're icing a cake. You ice the bottom of the pan with the eggs and then add your toppings. So I think the best combination ever for an omelet is going to be green onions cooked into the eggs and then goat cheese in the middle. I did not have any green onions today, but I did have some herbed goat cheese, so I just added that into the middle, kept it super simple. And then when the egg is pretty much all set up, it might still appear a little bit glossy on top, but overall it's all set up. You are going to carefully roll it up, as you'll see here in a second. But of course you can fill your omelet with anything else you want. You could use cheddar cheese, you could use caramelized onions, peppers, you could do tomatoes, mushrooms, anything like that. But I like the simple goat cheese and green onion combination because it comes together in a matter of literally 5 minutes. There's really not prep work to use. But something I also learned from, what was the book? I don't remember the book I was reading, but I learned from a book was actually to make a garlicky yogurt and to put that in the middle of your omelet. It sounds bizarre, but it is surprisingly delicious. I still don't quite get why it works, but it does. So anyways, I have lots of fresh peaches, so having more fruit with my eggs and having my turkey bacon. Eggs are just so good for you because of choline in particular. They're one of the most abundant sources of choline, which is really important for so many things, but namely brain health is one to be aware of. And the combination of eggs and turkey bacon here, I think I have 3 eggs and 2 turkey bacon, means that I have my 30 grams of protein plus some with the cheese. Okay, so last breakfast, and we got a little bit fancier for this one. I am making some sourdough pancakes. I'm going to link the recipe I used below. It's not my own, but it is one I always come back to. Ultimately, it's best to make it the night beforehand. So your batter is able to ferment. So I'm adding sourdough starter, milk, you whisk that up. Ultimately, you're gonna add flour, you're gonna add a little bit of sugar or whatever kind of sweetener you want to use, vanilla. I think vanilla might be my addition, but it's super yummy to add in. The only things you're going to leave out are your baking soda and your baking powder. You'll add those in the next morning so that you get these beautiful fluffy pancakes. Meanwhile, I am also still the night before making a frittata. This exact frittata recipe is going to be in my ebook as well, but I think frittata is a great make ahead meal. You can either bake it the night before or you can bake it the morning of, but have everything assembled and ready to go in the oven. And again, it's a way to kind of spruce up your eggs, and you can add whatever is available. Okay, watch Samuel being silly in the corner. I didn't even know he was doing this, but this week as he was filming, I think he made it his mission to dance on camera, and he is just cracking me up and making my day as I am watching this. But anyway, frittata is going to go into the oven, and then the next day we're going to pick back up by cooking our pancakes. I mean, it's the next day, excuse me, the frittata is going into the oven. I've lost all sense of time, but that's going into the oven, and we're going to cook our pancakes. Love some nice grass-fed butter on the skillet. However, the mistake I always make is heating it up a little too hot and then it gets smoky, so you might want to use like avocado oil, which has a higher smoke point, prevents, those free radicals from becoming a problem. Butter, while like ghee, for instance, or clarified butter, you can heat up to a higher temperature. Butter is more sensitive because it still has like sugars in it, which will burn, and proteins and all of that stuff. But anyways, I added our baking soda, baking powder, and we are cooking up our pancakes. I just love how fluffy these guys get. The batter the morning of, when you mix the baking soda and baking powder in, and then also with the sourdough starter already making it bubbly, is like next level excitement. It looks so good, and the pancakes are just delicious. I was having friends over this morning, so I didn't get like an official plated picture clip, but here it all is. It was so good, and that's it for today. Thanks for being here. Until next time, bye y'all.